Doug, thank you, and thank you not just for your remarks, but for yours and Cameron's incredibly good work. Our next speaker is Clayton Leverett. Clayton is the co-owner of the Stillwaters Ranch in Lano, Texas. Clayton he raises cattle, by the way. His experience is he had to sell off a large portion of his farm and work a second job to pay the taxes when his father passed away. Clayton is here. He, of course, has a very busy farm. He has given up his time to be with us. But he has another thing that is on the line, and that is any moment his first son is going to be born. We're hoping that he waits until Dad gets home. But this son, whose name I think has yet to be chosen, here's what we do know. He will be the 6th generation of the Leverett family to farm this land in Texas, and that all by itself is quite a heritage. Clayton, would you please come up and just share your words of wisdom with us?
Thank you. Yes, like Dick said, my name is Clayton Leverett, and actually we have not paid our estate tax. We're on installments. So, but I'll get back to that in a minute. So it began in the mid-1860s. My great-great-grandfather, who was named James Clayton, immigrated to Texas and owned nothing, didn't have anything but the horse he rode, and he was a cattleman, and he began leasing land from landowners and slowly saving money, putting money aside, and began parceling land together, which at that time was 40 to 50 cents an acre. So it's pretty easy. I mean, the value was based on an agricultural basis, right? So what you could produce off of the land. So by the time he was in his 80s, he had amassed tens of thousands of acres. So each generation, kept getting less and less. And so my father received, I guess, about 3,000 acres. So that was the 4th generation. And in 2006, my dad passed away and left the ranch to my brother and I. And we didn't know a whole lot about the estate tax, but when we went to read my father's will, his attorney informed us, we needed to find out if we were going to owe any estate tax. And we said, well, we did know that my dad had been paying an estate tax from my grandmother's estate, and she passed away in '97. So for 9 years, he'd already been making principal and interest payments to the IRS on her estate. So we hired CPAs, attorneys. So we had to survey the entire ranch. It was several $1,000s. Business appraisers, CPAs, attorneys. So what little cash and securities my dad had, which was $30,000 to $40,000, was all used up in figuring out how much we owed. And come to find out, we owed about $600,000 on his estate. We still had $250,000 left on my grandmother's estate. So obviously we couldn't pay for it, so we put 500 acres up for sale, which was 20% of the land that we were given, and it hasn't sold yet. So up until recently, up until actually January of 2009, we were able to make the payments. And that is when I quit my job at the ranch because the salary I was receiving we're now going to use to pay our installments to the IRS until we can sell the land for a fair value, because we don't want to just, sell it for a song. So, I'm currently looking for a job, and we're making. I'm sorry. Yeah. So we are. My question is, my unborn son, if the property values continue to raise based on development as opposed to the the cost that you could, or the value that you could agriculturally produce, how much longer, how many more generations is it going to take before we were left with a house and 50 acres? Because even with 2,500 acres, which is what we've got, we can't even produce enough for my brother and me, our two families, to run off of. You can barely make enough for one family to run off of. Now it's barely making enough to make the payments and, distribute any profits to us. So that's the question, is how much longer does it take before the whole thing's unproductive? So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.